lot of bands get their start by making sounds in their parents' garage. A lot of those bands never make it out of the garage. But in Wisconsin in the 1960s, garage bands were popping up all over the state. One of the state's most successful and long-lasting of those garage bands is Mourning Dayze, who got their start playing teen bars in 1965. They're still making music today. Rick Pfeiffer is in the studio. He's a founding member of Mourning Dayze. He co-authored a new book, Mourning Dayze, a Wisconsin garage band. The book chronicles the band's history and evolution over decades of playing bars, getting through lineup changes, and sticking with the dream of playing music. Rick, thanks a lot for joining us.
Oh, thanks so much, Rob. Glad to be here.
Well, how did the band first get started back in the 60s?
It all began, we grew up in Whitewater, Wisconsin, so we had the university there. We had a small band, and in Whitewater, at the beginning of the semesters, the city would open up their streets to all the students. So we thought we would practice that same night that all the students would be downtown. Maybe we'd get some jobs, meet some girls or something. Well, we didn't meet any girls, but we did meet Doug Henry, who was a co-founding member of the band. He came, he heard us play, said, "Hey, you guys need a guitar player?" And we did. And he came, joined the band. From there, we met our drummer, and that group was together for almost 5 years.
And one of the stories I love is early on, I don't know if you're still in high school at this point or
yeah, I'm in high school, sophomore.
You got a special long hair exemption because of your job as a musician.
My job as a musician, wasn't that pretty? Yeah, it was
How'd
great.
that happen?
Well, we had played up in the Dells, and we met some people there who wanted us to go out to Brown University and open up for the Supremes. And
wow.
we felt we needed to have our look in order to keep the job, which was having long hair. So we went to the school, and they had told me I couldn't go to school with long hair, but we asked them, "Hey, we're playing in a band. We really need it for our job. Let me keep my hair long just for this gig, and then I'll cut it again." And they were cool with that and said, "Yeah, that'd be okay."
But you found out afterwards there'd been some secret behind-the-scenes intervention, right? Years later, you found this out.
All kinds of behind-the-scenes things. Yeah, I had no idea that my mother went to the principal with a checkbook saying, "Here, this is the way my son's making his living. You can't cut him off from a source of income." Which is pretty cool.
And in the book, you really highlight your parents and some of the other parents of band members through the years as people who made it happen. In part by letting you use the garage, fronting you maybe some equipment, some money for an amp.
Yeah. In those days, you had to co-sign for equipment. You just couldn't go out and borrow money. You had to actually have somebody co-sign it for you. And our parents stood beside us as far as co-signing was concerned, supported us, gave us places to stay when we needed. Some nights we'd be coming home at Saturday nights with 14, 15 people in the entourage. They'd all stay at my parents' house. My mom would feed them. She'd do their laundry. But they were always there for us through thick and thin.
Now, we heard a little clip of music there. Was that from the early years in the 60s?
That was from the early years, yeah. That was from 1967, a record that we recorded down in Chicago on Kadirian Records.
And that sounded a little psychedelic. Is that how you describe some of your early stuff?
Yeah, there was a song called Itchy-Coo Park that kind of featured some phase shifting, which really hadn't been heard
a lot
of. Yeah, so, and these guys in the studio down there, they wanted to play with that and tinker with it, and they thought it'd be kind of cool to use it on our tune, which they did.
And so these young guys, you're getting gigs. What kind of places were you playing?
Oh, we were, back then, because there were so many teen bars in Wisconsin, there were places. And every teen bar had a band. If you were going to be successful as a teen bar, you needed a band. So we worked a lot through Ken Adamany, who was just getting his start out of Janesville. And we played all the major universities. We were playing teen clubs. We were playing frat parties. We were all over the place. We were doing opening acts. We were an opening act for many people. And we traveled a lot.
I should ask about the name, Mourning Dayze, and since this is radio, I'm going to spell it. It's Mourning, and Dayze is Dayze. And there's a story, a vehicle that was part of that name.
Yeah, absolutely. We had traveled so many. We traveled a lot. We were often on the road. We were coming home early in the morning, looking for a new name. Before Mourning Dayze, we were called the Coachman, and we needed something new, so we named ourselves Mourning Dayze for no particular reason other than it was morning and we were all in a daze. But we also had a hearse, and we thought that the spelling of Mourning Dayze would kind of match our hearse really well. And Doug Henry saw this hearse in Hales Corners, Milwaukee. We bought it for $500, put over 100,000 miles on it.
This was your band van.
Our band
it was a
van,
hearse.
Our band hearse, yeah, with trailer, which was cool. You saw us coming, and people knew us when we were coming into town.
I want to give a listen to a song that you got some radio play with. This is a little bit of Fly My Paper Airplane. And so this song got some radio play. How did it make it there? Why was this one the one that made it?
We were working through a record company out of Chicago that had connections with WCFL. And at that time, Dick Biondi and Joel Sebastian were working at the radio station down there. And so they were trying to promote our record. And it got played on WLS, I think maybe once. But at that time, WLS and CFL were doing a lot of afternoon in the park shows with multiple bands. And we were one of the opening acts. And one day we were down there, a CTA, before they were Chicago, was the headliner down there.
Well, Chicago Transit Authority, the band that became Chicago. Gotcha.
Yes. So and those kind of shows is what we were doing to promote our record, and we were number 9 in Davenport, Iowa, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's getting up there. Climbing those charts.
Talking to Rick Pfeiffer from the band Mourning Dayze. They've been at it over 50 years. There's a new book, a Wisconsin garage band, Rockin Since 1965. You got online in 2004, and you thought, like a lot of people, I'm gonna look at my band name and find out what's going on. And there was that song we just heard, "Fly My Paper Airplane," had a bit of a resurgence.
Yes, it had been re-released by a company called Gear Fab Records. They put it on a CD called Illinois Psychedelic States. They had no idea that we were from Wisconsin, just that we recorded it in Illinois. They re-released it, and it had been getting airplay throughout the country on college garage rock stations, grunge rock stations. And so we contacted them and developed a relationship with them. And they've been doing real well, selling that crazy album.
There's a lot of history we're going to fast forward through. You spent a lot of time, you were a house band at Alpine Valley for a long time.
We were a house band at Alpine Valley for 28 years. We were the house band there 10 years before the music theater came. It was primarily just a ski resort. And we would be playing there Monday through Sunday and Sunday afternoons to packed houses every night. We did work with WTMJ Radio out of Milwaukee with their shows, and later on we worked with WGN, Bob Collins out of Chicago, when they came up and did ski sprees. And then the amphitheater came, and we had all these major acts coming into Alpine. The first year they were there, the manager of Alpine wanted us to open up. He said, "God, you guys have to make it." And the Boz Skaggs was opening up, and they wouldn't put us on as the opening act because we didn't have any albums. Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes bumped us out. But we met so many acts out there, so many stage crews, and just had a great time talking to them all.
I want to listen to another track. This one I think is a more recent song from you. Here's a listen.
All right.
This is you on solo guitar.
Yeah, it's a song I wrote. Yes.
Now, there's a lot of guys out there, Rick, who had that garage band in the 60s, and they're thinking, glory days, those are good times. You never stopped. Can you talk about what you're performing now when you're out playing?
Okay. Yeah, as a group, we're doing a nice mix of Motown, soul, reggae. We're doing some Cajun music and some pop. But it's all music that we're really trying to share with our audience. It's a love that we have for what we're doing with our audience. We're trying to give them a big hug, and really not play at them, but play for them, play with them, and try to get them dancing, having a good time.
I understand. I might hear, if I go see you, a Bruno Mars cover, an Adele cover. You're not playing oldies. Or not only oldies.
Not only oldies, yeah, because my sister sings that Adele and Bruno stuff, but she really loves that music and sings it like she loves it. So it's different than just going out, well, we're going to play these tunes because they're pop and we have to do them. She really enjoys doing it and always has, and she's terrific.
Now, I got my hair cut by a young guy. He's just started singing and producing his own stuff.
Yeah.
He just started in the last year. If there are younger folks out there listening, what would you tell them as they're starting maybe a musical career now, a musical journey now?
It's you have to play where your roots are at. You can't be something that you're not. You have to sort of discover what you are. You have to experiment a little bit, but you really have to find out what you may want to be something, but you may be something completely different, and you have to find out where your soul is in your music. And I would play from your soul rather than from your head what you think you should be playing.
And now, real quick, there's this book I'm holding here as a DVD attached. What's it like to look back at that span since the 60s?
It's amazing. None of us can believe how fast it's gone by. Our audience is still huge, and we look at it, how much of an impact we've made on other people's lives that we don't even realize. We've had some book signings and book tours, and talking about garage bands with people just brings up this wonderful conversation about how music connects people, and that's been a wonderful thing to share.
It's been a lot of fun talking to you, Rick. Thanks so much for coming up.
Thank you, Rob. Enjoyed it very much.
That's Rick Pfeiffer, founding member of the band Mourning Dayze, co-author of the book Mourning Dayze, a Wisconsin garage band. I'm Rob Ferrett. You're listening to Central Time on the Ideas Network.